did you come from? What's the good minute? As a matter of fact, that was.
No more room in hell. The dead will walk here.
Horror Fiends, it's your boy, Ricky Grimes. I am back with my boy, Joe the Psychologist. You are watching The Three Corners of Horror, but today you got the dynamic duo, the Beer Brothers. What up, my brother, Joe the Psychologist? What's good?
What's going on? I'm looking forward to this one. We did talk about this one, I want to say, in one of our live streams, and it was one we were looking forward to, and then we heard some bad stuff, and this is I'm gonna say this is again one of those situations that people just need to shut the fuck up. Word of mouth, especially like bad when it wasn't necessary, can tend to, you know, mess the movie up. Other than that, you know what? I'm ready to sink my fangs into this one.
Nice. Yo. You know me, bro. I don't listen to online reviews. I watch it from myself. I ain't one of those people. What we will be discussing is going to be the 2023 film, The Last Voyage of the Demeter, directed by Andre Alvarado, who directed Troll Hunter. The film stars Corey Hawkins as Clemens, David Dastmalchian as Wojciech, and my man Liam Cunningham as Captain Elliot, a crew sailing from Varna in Bulgaria by the Black Sea to England find that they are carrying very dangerous cargo. Man, Jill, let me tell you, if there's one thing that horror has been in need of, is a little bit of a fresh coat of paint in certain areas. Now, this is not like the most original film, but I mean, when is the last time we got a horror film that was out on a boat on the open seas? Like, bro.
If it's not a shark, I can't remember when's the last one.
Yeah, it's such a refreshing take in the genre, in my opinion, and the fact that they threw in Dracula into the mix, bro. Now, this was a part of a little chapter in the Dracula novel.
And Bram Stoker's.
Yeah, Bram Stoker. Captain's Log, which is not 100% accurate, because even that, you know, it is some like fine lines crossing, because that's the film itself tells you it's off the captain's log within a chapter in that novel. But apparently I did a little research and that's not 100% accurate, because it's even a little minuscule of a chapter within that chapter. So have you read the book? You read the book?
I did. I am not, but it's part of the book.
Yeah.
I knew going into it that this is like an excerpt from the book. It's just it's a because it's not a chapter, but it's a chapter out of the book.
Excellent.
So,
I love the concept where you got this book of Dracula and they took one excerpt out of this book and make a fucking 2-hour movie out of it, bro. So let's get going. So we got this crew, you know, the captain is Captain Elliot, you know, the main hand is our boy Wojciech, and you know, it starts off they're trying to find new crewmates, some you know, hands that have experience working on a boat. Corey Hawkins, our man here in this story, Clemens, he's among the people trying to get picked, and this guy's a doctor. He's an astronomer. He's so smart. This dude,
hands.
Huh?
His hands.
Yes.
It was checking his hands. He had soft hands. He couldn't work. If it showed that he had no actual experience on a boat because his hands were soft.
You got city hands. You know, you become money all your life. That's great. So yeah, and we find out later why Clemens was trying to get onto this boat, because they are transporting a cargo from Bulgaria on their way over to England, and they get a bonus pay if they make it in a record amount of time. What's funny about this, that's what sunk the Titanic. They wanted to break a record sailing from England to United States. They wanted to break that record, and that's why they went through that fucking iceberg, because of the warnings. We got to turn around. No, it's gonna delay us. So in this film, when the shit goes down and they got to pour and they got to get help, they can't, because they want to make that cream. They want that bread. So
fuck that.
As they're transporting cargo onto the ship, this one hand with a fucked up eye notices a dragon emblem on one of the cargo pieces. Big giant box. as it got, they're wedging it up there, and he almost he drops
He
the
dropped
dock.
it.
So this cargo almost splashes onto this little kid, Toby, was he the grandson of Captain Elliot, and Clemens saves him. And this guy who drops this cargo after he saw that emblem freaks the fuck out. And he said, no, you didn't tell me about, the dragons, and he just kept spewing off some kind of,
I think
nonsense.
he was Romanian.
He was Romanian, yeah. A lot of these guys they picked up were locals, and they know of these fables, but most of these guys on the ship don't. So now my question is to you: if this guy is going crazy saying I'm not boarding the ship, he bounces. He warns everyone. He gives them a fair warning. Would you continue on this voyage? Because again, it's about the money. You know what I mean? So what would you do, bro?
So we'll check, because I actually put my phone down to watch this movie and was like, he looks familiar. Where do I know him from? And I'm like sitting there and I'm like, damn it, it's fucking Valentine's. And I set my phone down. I really want to pick it up. And then I've got a phone call, so I grabbed it really quick. Fucking Polka Dot Man. I'm like watching. I'm like, dude, it's Polka Dot Man.
It's funny. I didn't have to grab my phone. I knew, not immediately, but I did just like you. Damn, this guy looks familiar. But this actor's a chameleon, bro.
Yeah, dude. It took me a minute. Because I've seen him in a lot, but this was again a little bit more different for him.
Yes.
But getting back to the question, because besides the guy freaking out, don't forget that the guy that basically was leading the shipment coming in, they didn't want to help loading it in.
No.
And then basically said to them, yeah, we want to get out of here before the sun goes down. So, let's go. Come on, get out of here.
Good shout. Thank you for bringing that up. I missed that. You're right. There
So
was a little bit of a
and then
precursor to that.
Yeah. And then you get the guy, and if I was sitting there, I'm like, all right, I want to see Strike 3. I'm out. And not for nothing, actually, Strike 1 would have been just the wood fucking boat. I told, Adam is my husband. I told Adam that I'm like, thank God we don't live in times of those, because I would just never leave the country.
Yeah.
I would not get on. And because as you said, this boat was, and yes, I realize some was CGI, some of that was constructed, and the way that it was done for the movie, this boat was huge. And we're both like, how's the water not getting in? Like, how strong of a shellac or whatever it is that they're putting on there to keep this thing sealed. Yeah. And again, we're talking about 1800s. I think it was 1800s.
But not even that. It is 1800s. I don't have the exact date on him. Keep in mind, too, Toby had already mentioned in this era, there was already ships that were constructed out of steel and metal, and Clemens is like, well, this is a wood ship still. This is like an older model, but it's still a strong contender, to go into this voyage. As we see in the film, I don't think
it was up until the end. Up until the end. To get back to your question, I wouldn't have gotten on. If you, especially, let's say if I would have been there during that time, I would have known, who the people from Romania were. You would have heard the stories that they knew. Nope. See those signs? I wouldn't have gotten on. Now, if I was trying to get home, or maybe during that time, I don't know, got involved with some type of criminal type of stuff, I would have gotten on the boat then. But of my own free will, fuck no.
We have to keep in mind, too, during this era, it's not like now. A lot of superstition and fables were took very seriously.
Yeah.
And
I would have, too.
Yeah. So when the Romanian guy was like, oh, no, he almost killed the kid because he got so scared he dropped the rope. And, oh, man. That's a hard question for me because me now, no, I don't get on boats now as it. I did it once in my life and that was enough. But me now, I would have not have gone on it. But putting myself into that position, let's say Clemens, he needs to get out of there. He wants to travel. He wants to go do his thing. And he wasn't fazed by it. The crew was not fazed. Only the locals that knows of these fables, these tales, and these
Yep.
superstitions. They're the ones that know shit is about to go down, son. Let's talk about the Demeter, man. I think it looked really cool. How'd you like the boat itself?
I like the boat.
Yeah,
Honestly,
you mentioned it
the
was
boat,
like constructed, right?
yeah, I think it was. No, but I mean, I guess for some sections they had to have
Oh yeah,
constructed
of course.
something. You know what I mean? I mean, like you had sets.
Yeah.
Whoever was involved with making the sets
Mhm.
did a great job because it made the boat feel huge on the inside. Because when you're looking at it, you're thinking it's not that big. The last cruise I went, I'm like, wow, like once you're inside, you're like, there's so much in here, like you don't realize.
You don't realize it, yeah. Same here. When I got on a cruise, you don't notice it until you're inside.
Yeah,
It feels like you're in a mall or something. Like,
it's a whole other world.
yeah.
But the other part of this movie, besides the nighttime and the weather, was the boat. The boat
Yeah.
itself was it was the set piece.
A character.
I guess it was a character. I loved. I mean, now I want to maybe just at least if it's a boat that's like on a dock that you get to go on to do this. But when and they would knock on it
I like
and
that.
it would echo, I thought that was pretty cool because in a horror movie type of thing, or in a setting where you need help, and
Man.
it's a cool idea that you hit that for like basically getting for somebody would hear it and they know something is wrong. So I love the look of the ship. I
Talk about
love
the
that
voyage too while you're at it. Took the voyage. What was
it
it
was
like? 3
perilous.
weeks? How long was it for?
I think it was 3.
At
Shit.
least they mentioned about it could be more because there was a point in the film where Captain Elliot was like, "Oh, this shit's going on," and he still got like 3 weeks left to go. So it was probably like a month, I would say.
1
A
month.
month, okay.
1 month
Yeah.
because when the boat crashes and you see basically the wreckage, it then goes to 1 month earlier.
Nice.
So yeah, well, yeah, I guess, yeah, 1 month. I was trying to think if they hired the
I would
people
never do
and they
that
had.
shit, bro.
I mean, I watched the below deck shows, and I would probably do one of those before I would have do something like this. But
There's a storm like every night, man. Like,
dude,
what the
I
fuck?
mean, yeah, and that's why I'm like sitting there. I'm like, how the fuck did these boats stay up with these storms? Some people said that the movie was slow. There were
It is.
moments
No,
that
it
it
is
was
slow.
slow.
It is slow.
I mean, not
There's good and
completely
but
slow though.
but there's
I-
good and bad slow.
There is. I see. I didn't find it completely slow because
Same.
in enough of the moments that they put a little action in, it wasn't like you were in this drawn out thing. It was drawn out for them too, just
Yeah.
like it was a little bit drawn out for us.
Mhm.
So instead of giving us an hour and 26 1 hour 30-minute movie and rush it through, you would, because it would have rushed through, you would have gotten people complain you didn't
Yeah.
get much of a story.
Yeah.
But because they gave you a 2-hour movie and gave you those moments, you experience what the people on the boat were experiencing. It worked for me in this one because you got the sense of how slow it was as one by one they were being taken out.
When you see the boat in the beginning, it starts off with the boat already crashing onto shore,
Yeah.
right? And they said, obviously there's no survivors. So when it jumps into the actual story and you start seeing all the characters, I'm like, oh man, they're all goners. And then you see a kid, you see a dog,
I knew
you
it.
see the
I knew
animals,
it.
and you talk about like anxiety, like oh my god, the animal cruelty in this film just drove me. I don't want to say cruelty; it wasn't like cruelty, but what I mean is, me on a personal level. If you're a fan of this channel, you know me. I don't like animals being harmed in film if it's done just to be shocking. Here it makes sense because the sailors or the people, well yeah, they're sailors, they're crewmen, they're hands, they're whatever you want to call them. They're people on a ship. They have a job to do. They have to eat, and they're on a long voyage like this. They need fresh food, of course. So you got a lot of poor animals there just to be eaten, which is sad, but that's the realistic nature of this time that we're dealing
Yeah.
with. You know what I mean?
They couldn't have it cut
No.
and frozen already.
No. I mean, they
So
didn't have. Yeah. I mean, that's fine, but then they gotta introduce Huckleberry Huck. Like they did they have to have the pet dog? And like once I saw he was in it, like oh no.
When I watched this, I was like, oh no,
bro, and not just
we
that,
got a
though.
kid and a dog.
And
we
the
got
kid, we got the
two
kid too.
things
Oh,
for
Jesus.
Rick is not going to be a fan of this, and I'm like, I knew two things he'll mention.
It
So
didn't detract from the film though, because I know, again, I'm not against it, because if it if it like strengthens the story, right, it's fine. But if it's done just for like, let's do it, I don't know what it is. I've been watching so many movies, especially for this channel, and every movie has an animal being harmed. Everything. I don't know what's going on with these
well, I mean,
filmmakers.
because just the same way it hits you. I mean, an animal is something that we care for, that loves us. So nobody wants to see it get hurt. So
Yeah,
the
even
minute you see an animal get killed in a movie, in a movie, it's
yeah,
hitting that side of you. So from here on out, they're just gonna
yeah,
keep
it's
stabbing
just,
at you.
I don't know. But it's to me, it's like everywhere. Like I saw Birth and Rebirth right last night. Radar the Board recommended it. Good film. But again, it's another animal's in there, a pet. Just gets. I don't understand why the filmmakers have the need to have pets in films, just to give them for just to be added to a body count. It's like, come on, guys, and whatever. But you did mention one thing though: the length of the film, and the fact that these sailors were being picked off one by one, and and people might think, why is they're dragging it? Just kill everybody. But what are you doing? No, they mentioned it. He's rationing. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
and
okay.
and
Now we're
that's what
talking. They're putting
that's where the
logic behind the
yeah,
storytelling.
and that's where the 2-hour runtime comes into play.
Yeah.
Or else, if you take out some of those moments, then all you're doing is
Yeah.
one by one. You're just watching characters get killed
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
You're Because for me, is the boat crashed, so I went into like, okay, nobody's going to survive. You got the sense,
Hmm.
especially the more that crew people were gone because they had less help, especially during those fucking storms. And I don't know about you, but
No.
when they were up on the mast trying to, in the middle of the storm, and like, they're like, it's a rope they got tied around them and they're balancing on a fucking rope. If I would have been asked to go up there, I'm like, besides Dracula, the boat itself was dangerous, and I thought there was a lot of great shots with them dealing with the voyage. Like that scene I just mentioned, them being up there, like it showed you just more dangers that this crew had faced. On top of, there's something that is basically it ate it bit into our livestock and has now been taking us out one by one.
Yeah, they called it. They said it was rabies, and immediately I was like, come on. But we're talking about, you mentioned danger. Let's talk about the danger in this film and what's killing the livestock, what killed poor Huck, what killed everybody except for a couple hands. Let's talk about Dracula himself, man. The man from Transylvania. He's sitting on his castle looking over everyone else as their fucking meal ticket, son. Let's talk to me about him, bro. What's good, son?
I did hear one thing of this movie, besides that it's slow, was that they waited to the end to show Dracula, but they showed him pretty early on.
Who said that?
I mean,
He's all
people
over
were
this
like,
movie.
yeah, like they're like, oh, you didn't really get up to the end. What are you talking about? Like,
No.
he didn't need to be, I'm gonna save the actual what I thought of the Dracula look, but for Dracula itself. Um, it was fucking creepy. The look didn't help sometimes. However, the way that he was done,
Yeah.
like, this dude was fucking savage. Like, this is probably the first time in any vampire movie, unless you tell me wrong, and you can at this point, but that, like, you heard him gulp the blood out.
Mm.
And like, because there was, like, there was, I don't think they had any music playing during that moment, and it wasn't like, like this slow thing. It was like gulp, gulp. So like you can see why the person's dying so quickly in his hands. He fucking sucked the shit out of their blood. He sliced and diced these people. Unfortunately, like you said, Huck, I trying to avoid, I want to stick with him because of the look part. It would have worked a little better if it was less CGI. I think practical could have still delivered the same scare that they wanted to go for. I think because he didn't look like what we would consider the vampire form of Dracula.
Their inspiration was obviously Nosferatu, who was also the inspiration for Barlow from Salem's Lot.
Right.
That same bald-headed, pointy ears, sharp teeth Dracula. That's the ideal inspiration of the character that they went with.
And I can see that.
But there's a difference in the two prior characters I mentioned. They were makeup.
Yeah. So they could have done this with with the actual some practical effect. The fact that he rationed them out, it showed.
I like that cunning.
That he had a plan,
strategist,
and then not just that, but he made them rush. So I'm like sitting there going, damn.
Let's not forget. I'm sorry. Before you get to that, that wasn't even his. That was more like course correction because that wasn't even his plan. His plan was to feed on the woman that he brought with him.
Well,
once she was gone, then he decided, okay, well, let me eat all these motherfuckers now.
Yeah, he started, which that's where you would think that you wouldn't do it that way, but then again, we're talking about a month, and then when Ogren got turned, I fucking love the scene where he's trying to get to Toby and he uses his head. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, well, you kind of did some practical effects on this. So didn't anybody in your crew think of, let's do this with Dracula? God, I hope they don't do this with Nosferatu and Salem's Lot.
Doubt it. Those are more character pieces and action.
Ooh, I really hope not. Because I would have but that's the other thing. Like you just said, though, this was a period piece.
Yeah, it was.
So everything in this movie had the sense of period. But when you would get like the good looks of Dracula, because it actually stuck out amongst the look you went for in the movie.
Would you consider him savage in this film?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I mean, this was a Dracula. Like he wasn't gonna sit there and
holds barred,
hypnotize you.
He killed everyone from the chickens to Huck to Toby. Like
everything.
He fed on everybody, bro.
I felt bad for the fucking cook. And it's funny though because when the cook got on the boat, I was like, I would have done the same damn thing. I would have been out a long time ago.
But dude, where you gonna go? He's on this little rinkety dink fucking like not even a sailboat, a rowboat.
I'm a hope.
Fog everywhere, mind you.
That's fine.
If you notice, he did transform not only into like I know he flew. Did he?
His wings. He had wings.
But did he turn into an actual bat itself in this movie?
I don't know. No.
I know the fog was all him though.
Was it all him?
Well, because in the Dracula mythos, he could turn into fog.
That's true.
All of a sudden, fog comes out of nowhere.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
I didn't
cool.
think about that part.
That's
cool. I like that part.
Yeah. So as we get ready to close this one out, I would agree with you. My biggest knock on this film, and let's just get to the closing thoughts right now. Like the Dracula was a cool character, right? As far as within this film, I think he worked best when it kept him in the shadows, or like just hunched like in a little ball. You don't see his face because of like maybe a sail is covering his head or a piece of the wood, a plank or something. But they purposely hid him in those shadows for a reason. Or when like the first victim looked and he saw that guy just crawling like a zombie, and the guy's like, "What the hell what are you?" First of all, I wouldn't have gotten close to that guy.
No,
but that's what he worked best. But once it got CGI in those moments, okay, I get it, But even the close-up shots were like, oh, CGI. I don't understand why they couldn't just get a guy in a suit. There is an actor credited as Dracula. Aside from Doug Jones, this guy has been like everything. Yep. And I don't see him in this movie at all. Like, was there ever practical makeup? All I saw was CGI for this character. And I think that's my biggest gripe I have with this film, because it's so good. It's a fresh feeling and setting. You're on a boat. It's haunting. Got the fog. You hear the creaking of a boat at night. It's scary just by the atmosphere alone. And the fact that you got the CGI monster just ruining it. I'm like, come on. And then at the end, when he was strapped to, when they did that trap and like he got stuck, they had a piece of the mask flew against him, pinning him against the other mask. And then all of a sudden, but before he got pinned, he just waited there like some AEW wrestler waiting for his next spot. Okay, I'm ready. Come on, hit me. Bro, you had all that time to jump out the way. What are you doing? Like, it's just stuff like that just killed me. And again, that's my biggest critique. And it's such a big critique to me.
It is,
because that could have. Think about we talked about Barlow, Nosferatu. These are. One guy's from the 30s and 40s. Barlow was from the 80s, early 90s, maybe. All makeup.
Yeah.
And we're in 2020, 2023 at the time. A guy's in a full CGI. There's no need for that, in my opinion.
No.
That took me out. Took me out completely, because when it's supposed to be scary, all I see is bad CGI. And it was bad CGI too. Let's be real.
I hated when they finally after they looked, shit, what was the name again? The one that smashed his head.
Olgren.
All right. After they grabbed Olgren and looked through, and Captain Elliot and Clemens got to see him, and he's standing there. It just looked like a demon out of, any type of demon entity. It didn't look like Dracula for me at that moment. It looked like a demon out of all these demon movies we see.
Something like a background character in Underworld.
I don't understand. That could have very easily been done. And if you wanted to make them tall, you can find tall actures.
No, the actor is tall. The actor who played him was credited. He plays. If you look at his repertoire,
No, he's done. That's what I'm saying. All they had to do was just dress him.
Yeah,
dress him and just put the makeup on his face. You could have delivered
for those close-ups.
The same as back.
You could have just had the guy with the makeup. Yeah.
Well, in that scene when they looked at him, you lost its impact because it looked fake.
It looked fake. It just
if you would have had,
there's no weight
the
to the
actual
character
actor standing there looking at them, and you could have seen that it actually, because that's, we talked about this when we discussed it, why I found Curry's Pennywise to be more scarier, because they didn't use a lot of CGI.
He felt grounded. He felt real.
He felt grounded. So when you looked at him, you're like, that shit looks real. Sucks that the idea of doing Dracula entirely in CGI, for me, ruined your movie. Mm-hmm. And I get the hate the movie got. However, if you look at the movie as a whole, it's not all that bad. If you were to take out the scenes where they completely showed him and keep in the shadows, it might still be an okay. But man,
all you hear is Dracula himself,
yes,
clawing and like scratching, and you see him in the corner like, because he wants to feed. He looks like, oh my god. That was scary, but once they showed him like jump at you, like even at the beginning, I knew from the beginning when they found the ship crashed, right, and they're investigating. All of a sudden, it goes into that jump cut of the Dracula going, to the screen. I'm like, oh god, that looked bad. Oh no,
I know. I thought the same thing. I'm gonna show my age. When Dracula grabbed Anna in her wing, and you saw her face, I thought about Beastmaster.
Oh, great film, by the way.
And then
film.
I love that fucking movie. I saw the movie in the theaters. Like, that's how old I am. But I thought about that, and then I'm like in my head going, God, I hate when I think about another movie.
Yeah.
In a movie I'm watching, and the worst part, it was done in CGI. If I just take out the bad CGI, and I know that we're not supposed to be doing that, but however, because the thing is, some of these people delivered some good performances. Cinematography was up there. I mean, the guy did Troll Hunters. This guy made trolls look real. And in some scenes, he made a boat look real in a fucking middle of an ocean.
How do you make like giant trolls look real, but you can't get Dracula?
Dracula, I didn't. Yeah, that's a good point right there. You're probably gonna think I'm nuts too. I really enjoyed this movie. To be quite honest with you, I'm gonna give it a 4. If these people would have used practical and an actor, this movie would have been scored a lot higher.
When we say CGI, at least I can't speak for you, but for me, I don't mean the entire film, because the film, obviously the boat on the water. And when Olgren starts burning when the sun comes up, such a great scene, because they don't know what's going on, right? He's like, it burns, it burns, it burns. And he's like, and we know it, but they don't know. I would have said to myself, if I'm on that crew, fuck, let's just all stay together. Let's lure this motherfucker out in the daytime and burn this motherfucker. They never put 2 and 2 together that's related. But they knew because when Anna at the end, because she stopped getting transfusions, she was slowly turning into a vampire. And she went off and she burned herself. And which I hate. Olgrant screamed for his life when he died, but she was like, I'm good. And she just burns. Like, come on.
Yeah.
She should have been. Imagine her just being like, "Ah," and just the pain. Come on, guys. As a filmmaker, why do everything doesn't have to be artistic? They went with the artistic route. She should have been yelling her ass off. I would have felt for her. But I didn't feel for her because she was like happy. No, you're burning. It hurts. That fucking hurts. You're burning from the inside out. But I digress. But that stuff looked good. That's what I mean. The boat looked good. The sea looked good.
It was
everything.
literally
It's
just Dracula.
That's it.
It's a fucking Dracula movie. And the worst thing looking in your movie is Dracula.
That's it. And a couple of things that kind of bother me too. A lot of the decisions with it, but characters don't always got to be smart. That's realistic. There could be characters that don't know or they don't think like we do because we watch films. But like when Toby was in that corner and Dracula's trying to get him, there's a hole there. I don't know how the hell they couldn't get inside. For one, it took Anna to come in with a rifle and blow the fucking lock up. Guys, you couldn't.
He said
really?
It was locked. I mean, it's a latch.
Bro,
like
you could put your. Come on, really?
Like
yes.
even the zombie. No, sorry.
He was like a zombie if you think
he was
about
kind of
it.
like a zombie. But all right.
Dracula's minion. No, you're good, bro.
Oh, all right. But like, yeah, he's like sitting there. He's reaching in for it. So they're like, "Oh, it's locked." Dude, it's a latch. There was no padlock.
He's
you know, it was
under
like,
this crazy mind control. But Clemens and Elliot, there's no excuse for why they couldn't get in.
That's what I'm saying with them.
I don't know.
Like it's like they know it's a latch.
And even after they're getting picked off, when the captain said everyone should be in twos from now on, armed, that ain't working, bro. Just stick all together. What are you doing? That just drove me nuts. But that's minor. I'm like you. See, this movie to me, it's a strong 4, but I'm gonna give it a 3.75 because of the CGI. All right, my brother. Anything else you want to add before we wrap it up?
No. Like I said, I mentioned a couple times. I give this movie a chance.
Yeah. This movie's fun.
Definitely.
I mean, it's you know what it is. Let me make sure I got my notes. I didn't forget nothing. Right? Nope. All right. Listen. We watch a lot of horror. When do we really get to talk about a movie on the open seas like this? Now, and when I started watching this movie, I thought of a few movies. The Thing, Predator, because of Anna describing the Dracula. Remember that part? Yeah. She was the girl from Predator. But most of all, this is Alien on a fucking boat, bro.
I fucking thought the same thing. I literally thought the same thing.
I love the vibes of this film, and I play Sea of Thieves. If you're not aware, it's a Xbox One video game where you play as a pirate, and I just love anything with boats in the ocean. I'm scared of the ocean, but I'm infatuated with the ocean because you don't know what's out there. And I love the setting so much of this film. So yeah, that's why I 3.75. Only because Dracula should have been an actor in a suit as opposed to an actor being mocapped to be completely CGI. Which I think it's a cop-out. I don't know why they did it. They wanted to save money maybe. I don't know. But it's a bad choice, bad decision. And I think that's why this movie did not do well.
Yeah.
Turn people off. But anyway, I'm Ricky Grimes, Joe the Psychologist. Come back next week for another episode of 3 Corners of Horror here at Horror Fiend TV. Stay healthy, stay sane, stay off the ocean, but most of all, stay scared.